What's up, college football addicts? Today we are talking a little Roll Tide football, breaking down the Alabama schedule, and I'm going to give you the insight on how you should bet your money in our Alabama preview. This is presented by BetUS. Now, Alabama, with the new regime coming in, taking over for Nick Saban, everybody loves to say how big of a drop-off there's going to be with Kalen DeBoer, and it would be impossible to not think that there is some drop-off with DeBoer from Saban. Mostly nothing to do with DeBoer, just the fact of the matter of how amazing Nick Saban was, not only for the Alabama football program, but for the SEC and the sport in general. But I think the idea of an immediate drop-off or just a complete fall from grace is absolutely ludicrous. You haven't seen that in recruiting, and I don't think you're going to see that on the field this year. There's so much talent there that not only Saban has brought in, but some of that brought in by DeBoer as well. There is not going to be a big drop-off here. Now, could they lose a game or two? I mean, absolutely. Alabama hasn't won a non-COVID championship in 2020, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but hasn't won a full season championship in a while, right? And so, Nick Saban wasn't out here winning every single title every single year. They certainly some teams caught up when you look at Georgia and others, but this is still going to be a really, really good program. And it's going to be a really good team this year as well. They get off to a quick start. Western Kentucky at home. They get the win there. USF comes to town as well. They also get a big win there. I love the USF mindset here. They played them tough last year. They gave them everything they wanted last year, and that was at home in a rain delay. I live in Tampa, so not too far from my house. I don't think they can go up to Tuscaloosa and really have any shot here. Alabama drops that game, and people will be firing DeBoer just 2 games into his tenure, at least on message boards and social media and stuff. But I don't think that's really a worry. I think 2 easy wins to get it started. Jalen Milroe will run all over these teams if needed, and they'll get easy wins. At Wisconsin, this is the big one that everybody's watching. I think everybody wants to kind of find out what this team will look like against another really good Power 4 team. I think Kalen DeBoer is a little bit lucky. Not lucky in so much that Wisconsin's not got a chance here, but I don't really know that Wisconsin has a chance here. That's no shot at them. I expect Alabama to be a pretty big favorite, even going on the road to Wisconsin, and I just don't think that they can match up. Alabama has trenches that are kind of like a Big Ten team, and they've got skill players that are like an SEC team. And so I think Wisconsin's going to find it really tough here. It wouldn't surprise me if Alabama won this thing by 20 or more. Excited to see what a spread looks like when game week rolls around, but Alabama starts 3-0. The nation gets to see them play against Wisconsin on the road, and the nation realizes the drop-off to DeBoer is not what they thought. They get a bye week, and then UGA. UGA also has a bye week before this game. This is one of the games of the year to me. Planning on being there, Alabama fans, if you're around, if you're going to be up there, if you're traveling to the game, UGA fans too, hit me up. I'd love to grab a cigar with you over at R&R Cigars, best cigar bar there in Tuscaloosa, but make sure that you tell me if you're going to that game down in the comments. I look forward to seeing who all is going to be there. Again, game of the year type stuff to me. Alabama, UGA, and then Oregon, Ohio State. Those are the 2 big games this year to me. I am so excited about them. I know there's other big stuff too. The Red River, the Iron Bowl, the game at the end of the year I think could be massive as well. But to me, out of conference, those are out of conference for the stuff doesn't matter as much to me as in some of the other areas, but this one being in conference, the Ohio State-Oregon being a conference game now, these are going to be phenomenal. We could get rematches of both of them as well. Alabama, Georgia, how do I see that one going down? I mean, we'll just jump right into it. I've got Georgia winning this game. And if you watched our Georgia preview, I kind of explained why, and I'll kind of echo some of those thoughts here. I think Georgia is going to be I think it's going to mean a little bit more to Georgia here. And I think it's going to mean a heck of a lot to Alabama. Don't try and, misconstrue those words. I think that Alabama is going to care a ton. But, man, when it comes down to those UGA players and the feeling that they had last year, not only losing to Alabama, but then not getting put in the playoffs, I think that, if you want to say that Florida State wasn't good enough and that's why they got left out without their quarterback, that's fine. But then by that same logic, I think that Georgia should have been in, whether that's over Texas, whether that's over Washington. I mean, shoot, they'd have been a neutral site favorite against Alabama and Michigan too. And so, I think Georgia's going to remember what they blew last year, and I think they're going to get the win here on the road in Tuscaloosa. That's not a sure thing. Alabama could absolutely win this game, and I won't be surprised if they do. Home field advantage is a real thing, especially at Bryant-Denny, and I think there's a big time chance that Alabama pulls this out. But if you got to ask me one way or the other, UGA, probably a little bit of a quarterback edge. I think a talent edge overall as well. Don't shoot me for that, Alabama fans, but I think UGA gets the win here. Alabama rebounds quickly, two opponents that they would have no business losing to either way. But on the road at Vandy, they pick up the big win. And then South Carolina at home, I think that's an easy win too. So they get through the first, 6 games at 5-1. I think they have a great chance to get through those 6 games at 6-0. I think they really only play 1.5 opponents with a pulse here. Maybe Wisconsin's the other half, right? UGA, the really good one. I don't see, if Alabama loses to Georgia, I don't think people are melting down. If they lose any of the other 5 games in that first 6, I think people are losing their minds. Alabama will need to do some pretty impressive things down the stretch to compensate for that. So a really tough stretch coming up, though, for the Crimson Tide after that South Carolina game. Before I go to that, let's give a little bit of love to BetUS. Now, the best thing about these previews that I've been doing is that if you love the prediction or maybe you hate the prediction, you can literally go put your money where your mouth is on BetUS right now. You can wager what you think is going to happen. If you think I'm too high, if you think I'm too low on a team, go, like I said, put your money where your mouth is like I am and bet on the over or under on wins. You can see I'm doing it right here. BetUS is a 125% deposit match up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. They also have the best customer service in the game, and their website and mobile site are extremely easy to use and very aesthetically pleasing. I appreciate BetUS for their support. Go lock in your bet right now for Alabama's over or under on wins. Now, Alabama's got to travel to Tennessee here, and I don't think this stretch of 5, 6, this last 6 minus the Mercer game, I think this is an incredibly tough stretch, and I think it really will kind of prove the resolve of Alabama, right? The first 6, you got the Georgia game, but you shouldn't win anything. You shouldn't lose it. Well, this is the backwards of that, right? You got one game that's a guaranteed win, and then you got a bunch of them that are going to be tough. At Tennessee is not easy. It's tough to project exactly what Tennessee will be like in mid to late October with Nico there at quarterback. Certainly highly touted, certainly somebody who could be a real difference maker, but I'm going to roll with Alabama here. Even on the road, I think they fire up the cigars. They're in Knoxville, and they get the win. But, man, Tennessee, not a pushover, not as easy of a game as it always is, but I think Alabama still has too much talent for Tennessee right now. In a couple of years, maybe that starts to tilt. I think Tennessee's on the right way up, but I don't think they can do it right now. Missouri, a team that's very attractive to people and people think could be really, really good. This is one that I think Alabama gets as well. I think getting this at home is a big deal. I think Missouri is going to have a ton of talent. I think offensively they're going to be able to move the ball really, really well. But I think their defense is going to struggle at times. They give up, 40 to Florida last year. They weren't a good defense late. Can they be better this year? Maybe, but I don't think they can stop Milroe, especially at home. I think Alabama gets the win, and I think that's back-to-back ranked wins. I think at Tennessee and Missouri, both teams that are going to be ranked at that point in the year, and they get 2 ranked wins there. Then they have another ranked matchup at LSU. I was at the Alabama-LSU game in 2016. It was the loudest stadium that I've ever been in my life. And I'll never forget, Hurts threw an interception on the first drive of the game, and I thought the place was going to come down with how loud it was. At LSU, certainly not an easy matchup. I think the rivalry gets weird. I think some of that Baton Rouge magic may show itself, and I actually like LSU to win this game. Now, I'm not sold. I'd tell you my confidence level in this pick is maybe 50%. Maybe it's a coin flip in the confidence level. But I think LSU finds a way to get a win. I think Brian Kelly is a really good coach who's gotten the most out of his players a lot of different places. I think LSU is going to take a step back this year just offensively because of Jaden Daniels leaving and some of their weapons not being there anymore. But I think defensively they're going to get better. I think they contain Milroe to an extent, have maybe Perkins spy him, whatever the case is there. But I think LSU finds a way there in Death Valley to get the win, and that's Alabama's second loss of the year. I think it's their second conference loss, right? And so they really are kind of probably on the outside looking in when it comes to the SEC championship. Not eliminated yet, because one of those losses was to Georgia, who will be in. But Can they find their way back to the SEC championship? Going to be tough with 2 losses there. Mercer's an auto dub. That's an easy win for the Crimson Tide. And then they've got, again, 2 tough more games. At Oklahoma, not easy at all. Right now, I'm going to tell you, I got Oklahoma being a little bit better than people expect. I know everybody's excited about Texas this year. I don't think that Oklahoma is going to be as down as everybody thinks. I think they can come into this conference, and I've seen people say they're the 8th or 9th best team in the conference. I don't know that I buy that. I think that Alabama and Georgia are clearly above them, and then I look at Oklahoma kind of in that next range with LSU, Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri. I think they're all kind of bunched together. I think they're above Tennessee. I kind of have them right in there ranked with everybody else. I mean, Texas gets a lot of love, but Oklahoma's beat them 7 in the last 10 years. So I don't know. I think Oklahoma's going to be really good. All that said, I just hyped up Oklahoma for 3 minutes. I think Alabama gets this win. I think Alabama goes on the road at Oklahoma. I think this could be a track meet. I think this could be a shootout. Oklahoma's offense should be really good. I think with the young quarterback, I think that I like Milroe a tad more, even though it's on the road. I don't think Oklahoma is, their fans are not going to love this. I don't think Oklahoma is the most intimidating atmosphere, of all time. I think they'll be fine. I think Alabama will be fine. They'll go on the road. They'll get the win there. They get to their 9th win of the year, and then I think they get Auburn at home. I think that's your 10th win. You go 10-2. Auburn, certainly things get weird when you're in Jordan-Hare. Wouldn't be surprised if this year Alabama kind of put it on them. I know it took a miracle last year for them to win, but I think Alabama could win this one by 14-17 and kind of win it going away. 10-2. I don't think they're in the SEC championship at 10-2, but I do think they make the playoff and maybe even have a home game for that. Maybe they could be a top 8 seed. I know your top 4 are going to go to your conference champions. I know 5 is probably going to go to your Big Ten runner-up or your SEC runner-up, but then 6 and 7 probably goes an at-large to whom? Maybe your next best team in the SEC, maybe your next best team in the Big Ten. I have a hard time seeing them putting an ACC or a Big 12 runner-up up in 7th or 8th spot, but I guess it's possible, right? And so I'll say that I think Alabama gets in the playoff. They put them in last year. They'll put them in again this year at 10-2. And I think they probably have a home playoff game. So we'll see how that ends up going. If they're the 7 or 8 seed, they'd be playing, potentially who knows there at 7 or 8, they could be playing, an ACC runner up. They could be playing a Big 12 runner up. They could be playing another SEC team, but I think Alabama makes the playoff 10-2, lose to Georgia, lose at LSU, win everything else. So you're beating Oklahoma, you're beating Tennessee, you're beating Missouri. You're obviously winning at Wisconsin, and you're winning the rivalry game. But 10-2, not a massive drop off. I know Alabama fans are not going to be thrilled with 10-2. That 11-1 would probably sound a little bit better. But I'm telling you, you're going to the playoff either way. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, Alabama fans. Don't yell at me too much for predicting you to lose 2 regular season games. But slight drop off from Saban, nothing crazy. I'm not down on Alabama at all, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Appreciate again BetUS for their support. We will talk to you guys soon on College Football Addiction.